Tell me, O muse, of that ingenious hero who traveled far and wide after he had sacked the famous town of Troy. Many cities did he visit. Many were the nations with whose manners and customs he was acquainted. Moreover, he suffered much by sea, while trying to save his own life and bring his men safely home.
My nightmares started like this. I was standing on a deserted street in some little beach town. It was the middle of the night. A storm was blowing. Wind and rain ripped at the palm trees along the sidewalk. Pink and yellow stucco buildings lined the street, their windows boarded up. A block away, past a line of hibiscus bushes, the ocean churned. Florida, I thought. Though I wasn't sure how I knew that, I'd never been to Florida.
Welcome to A New Retelling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. I'm your host, Jasmine Garcia, and joining me on this treacherous nautical adventure through the sea of monsters are...
Currently running away with this large thing of sheep's wool. It's River.
Hi, I'm Sam Marchioni. You'll have to excuse me. I've got a conspiracy board up. I'm trying to figure out which monster would be associated with Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, boy.
Thankful that this mug of tea I have in my hands right now isn't going to be constantly running away from me, so I'm constantly super thirsty and hungry all the time. It's Leif Bradshaw.
And the newest member to Camp Half-Blood, I'm Jordan. I am an English literature student who focuses on adaptation theory. So thank you, Jazz, for inviting me to the podcast.
Why not? You're tailor-made for it, clearly. Last month, Percy Jackson and the Olympians' second season came to an end, so seemed like the perfect time to start talking about the next chapter of the Percy Jackson story. So once again, River is my co-host, or I guess in this case, first mate, since this is a nautical journey.
I thought for sure you were going to say co-conspirator.
Well...
Well,
what am I if not a co-conspirator, a co-captain, a first mate, and semi-decent with ropes?
Woo!
A problem.
Maybe so, but you're one of my favorite problems. We're obviously going to have to start where it all began. The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. So let's do a nice little review since it's been a little over a year since we've explored the world of Percy Jackson. What is everyone's connection to Percy Jackson in general? And also, specifically, what this story is clearly mimicking the most, the Odyssey.
I'll let the newbies go first.
So, I was around 10 when Sea of Monsters came out. I do not remember how my sister and I got into the Percy Jackson universe. ADHD, I don't remember a lot of things.
And plus, I do think there are just some things that are so embedded in you, you don't even remember when they really entered.
Yeah, so I got out my trusty box set and I reread this book in like 2 hours this morning because it has been a very long time since I read it. And despite being a student of English literature, I have never read or studied the Odyssey in any way, shape, or form. So this book is my only real experience with the Odyssey.
I'm sure not for long. And also, let's face it, like, the Odyssey is so baked into so many other adventure stories that came after it. I'm sure you have more connection than you think.
That's true. It is probably fairly foundational to a lot of heroes' journeys.
I mean, pop culture has at least made references to several plot points from the Odyssey for a really long time. Indeed, my own probably most frequent exposure to an Odyssey plot, if only because it's cheekily referenced as an adaptation source in the credits, would probably be the Coen brothers movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Like, it's not a faithful adaptation of the Odyssey by any means, but there's definitely a few plot beats where it's just like, oh yeah, this is an Odyssey plot beat, even if it's filtered very much through some deep-fried southern batter.
I think it's a closer analog than you're giving it credit for, but that's partially because I watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou when I was in 9th grade, which was when we did a reading unit on the Robert Fagel's translation of the Odyssey in my English class. But by that time, I was already deep into Percy Jackson. I was deep into Greek mythology basically from the time I was 9. Big surprise, I was queer. I am queer. But...
Queer and neurodivergent and Greek mythology. That's the missing third part of the equation that is inherent, it seems.
Yeah. Anyway, 5th grade, The Lightning Thief was actually a class reading assignment for me, and I ended up falling in love with it. 5th grade was also when The Titan's Curse was coming out, so I devoured The Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters in preparation. When Titan's Curse came out, I devoured that. When Battle of the Labyrinth came out, I actually briefly met Rick Riordan on a book tour and asked him a question. He was very nice about it. I won a t-shirt. I don't know where the t-shirt is, but I was a very devoted fan right up through Heroes of Olympus, and then I started to kind of fall off the wagon because other shit was happening in my life, and I was in college and shit. But I definitely have quite a bit of familiarity with the Odyssey because it was one of those things that kept popping up again and again. I don't think it was part of the 4th grade Greek mythology play that we all had to do, but it was definitely one that I was very familiar with for other reasons, because a lot of things that retell the Trojan War also end up telling the Odyssey, of course. We did mention this briefly in the Lightning Thief episode, but growing up, it was very much, I am Annabeth, Annabeth is me, for quite a while. Big shock. The blonde, gray, blue-eyed person who loves reading is very attached to the blonde, gray-eyed brainiac who is just... who controls the brain cell of the team.
Oh, absolutely. She is the brain cell of the team.
Meanwhile, all you need to know about me is I took one look at Thalia Grace and said, gender.
That tracks. That tracks.
For those keeping score and have not listened to the Lightning Thief month episodes, which you should go do that. Go do that. I'm great in it. Shut up.
Likewise.
Sam's also great in it. Leif's also great in it. Go listen to it. Go. Come back. Okay. I read the Heroes of Olympus series first in 6th grade. After my friend gifted to me their copy of the book, I then plowed through that as it was coming out. I have a distinct memory of temporarily being grounded from technology for something stupid I did. I don't remember what I did. But it was the same week that Mark of Athena came out, so my parents found me at home on the couch reading Mark of Athena like nothing was wrong. And then I went back in 7th grade when one of my English teachers posted a test, had the copy of The Titan's Curse on her bookshelf. I picked it up, I read through that, and then I went back and started reading through everything. I read The Sea of Monsters last because it was the one that my library never had when I was checking out the other books. So I had to wait for it to come back into the school library to read it. And so I did that. And then my senior year of high school, I borrowed my friend's Nook and I read through the entire series in a week as giving me something to do in my senior year of high school, because they literally never know what to do with you your senior year of high school. They just don't know what to do with you. So yeah, I spent a lot of dead hours doing that.
I will say, clearly you never did the IB program.
No, we didn't get offered IB. The best we got was AP, and a couple of classes did dual enrollment with one of the local community colleges.
I am telling you, you lucked out, trust me.
Yeah. And then with the Odyssey, I also had to read sections of it in 9th grade. I do not remember whose translation we did, but my English teacher was like, yeah, here are the fun bits. And then we also watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou in sections, not the entire thing. And then I remember, I think I wrote my final paper, or maybe not my final paper, but my second to last paper for that class I ever did, on the Odysseus as a Grecian hero and what the Greek definitions of hero are versus our modern definitions of heroes are and what have you in comparison to something else. I don't remember which. But yeah, so that is my grand summation, and I've probably also watched other Odyssey adaptations that have popped up here and there. I'm currently playing Hades 2, which takes a lot from the fucking Odyssey.
And as for me, as I've mentioned last year, I kind of missed the Percy Jackson boat for reasons. Twitch.
Gen Z really did a better job of betting on the right horse.
And
Same here. Guilty as charged.
Yeah. And I really did enjoy kind of getting introduced to this universe last year when we did Lightning Thief Month. As for the Odyssey, I have also not really read it yet, even though I've had Emily Wilson's translation in my audiobook library for years. I will be listening to it at some point.
Doesn't Audra McDonald read it? Oh my god, you have to tell me how it is.
She reads the Iliad. It's Claire Danes for the Odyssey.
Aww.
I'll tell you how she is with the Iliad, of course. But of course she's gonna be awesome. It's a moot point. Come on. And I know for a fact my very first interaction with anything Odyssey related, as I broke River's brain with in a previous recording, spoiler alert, dear listeners, we don't always necessarily do these in order, was the episode of Arthur. Yes, that Arthur.
I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day.
Yeah, no, it was an episode called DW Spins a Tale, and it was kind of just to prove a point about how she did not actually have to be able to read in order to tell a good story. You know, Arthur was being kind of obnoxious about the fact that his 4-year-old sister couldn't read again.
Good story, huh? No, nobody fought crime with mutant potato powers or anything. That just proves you can't make up a good story.
No, it proves you don't know what's a good story. Grandma told me that story. It's called the Odyssey. It's from long ago and people still read it. I changed it a little to test you. Now I know when you tell me I'm no good, you're probably just as wrong about that as you are about this.
So, you know, I was aware of it from a very young age.
This does raise the question, who the fuck is telling a 4-year-old the Odyssey so well that she can do it back almost beat for beat? This raises some questions. I am not going to get into them, but I have them.
I'm guessing autism.
That too. But also, yeah, no, it was their Grandma Thora who told her the story to kind of help her prove that point, because, you know, Grandma Thora was always up to some shit.
Oh, yes, no question.
Ironic that she went for a Greek myth and not a Norse one based on the name, but I'll dig it.
You got a point there. We all know the basic beats of the Odyssey, I feel like. Even if you've never read it, I think most people know about the sirens and about how it took him years to make it home. And of course, now even more people know about it because of a certain internet musical. There are mixed feelings about it among the podcast family.
Nah, don't be modest.
I'm being so polite and so normal, and I will not open the can of worms because I am a good noodle who wants to keep this recording on track.
Thank you, River. We'll talk about it eventually.
I'm just gonna start a tally for how many times River says rattling the bars of my enclosure during this episode.
Well, to keep this podcast episode on track, it is 20 years since this book was published.
Yeah.
It was published in 2006. And
Which you can definitely tell by the use of a certain slur in the first chapter.
Yeah.
Which-
yeah,
At least it's narratively condemned, but still.
Yes.
Oof.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely did cringe reading that this morning, and I was just like, oh.
But we also must remember these are middle school boys from 2006.
This isn't like a condemnation of him for like just using it. Like I get why he used it. It's just like that language is very 2006. And at this point, honestly, to call someone who is neurodivergent something insulting, it would probably be a lot worse than the R word.
Oh, these days, definitely.
Also, for the sake of branding and keeping consistency, 2006, there is not a distinct date. I would have been 6 years old.
When it comes to stuff that I cringed at, it was a lot more the party ponies, just because one of them is distinctly described as that really offensive stereotype that you think of it like, I don't know, Coachella, like the headdress and the whooping. It's just like, Comanche people are not a costume, guys.
Yeah, but to be fair, we are talking about the mythological creatures that get invited to a wedding and decide, hey, let's kidnap and assault a bunch of women.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not out of character for centaurs, especially Florida centaurs, but still, that was a little uncomfortable for me.
I love that there are chapters of centaurs. I think that's fucking funny.
Wait, does this mean there's a Florida man centaur? Gods help us all.
I think those all are Florida man centaurs.
Yeah, like all centaurs are Florida man.
Any story with a Florida man and a horse is a centaur.
Or the implication that beheading a hydra not only multiplies the heads if you don't cauterize the stump, but it also births a chain restaurant that'll just pop up everywhere. It's like,
I don't think that ever comes up again, but it is one of Rick's more absurd concepts.
And that's the thing, stuff like that is
What I really like about this franchise, like Rick Riordan is very clever when it comes to how to modernize these mythical concepts, which is where it's time for a little confession. There's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for this book for like the first half of it.
That's fine. You could probably eventually find somebody of the Percy Jackson franchise who says that Sea of Monsters is their favorite, but I have yet to meet them.
I don't think it's most fans' favorite.
It has a really big challenge. It has to measure up to The Lightning Thief, while also realizing that we have thoroughly broken what up till this point has been the status quo. Because we start off no Grover, we have lost point of contact with our primary mentor character, and the dynamic has drastically shifted thanks to the introduction of Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
It is also book 2 of a 5-book YA set, which means that it's in this real awkward position of, like, we can only introduce so much and move the plot so much further before we are running up against, like, okay, but what's gonna, murder our pacing going forward and what have you, which is why when Lockwood and Co. got adapted into a series, they basically fused the first 2 books into the first season just because they're like, a lot of it was just reestablishing basics and what have you.
And I noticed that pacing.
Yeah, the timeline of this book when they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's been 10 days. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's been 10 days? What is happening? Like,
Time dilation.
yeah.
This shit just happens in the Greek mythology thing, which I think is also part of how Rick was trying to, like, acknowledge the whole, yeah, it fucking sucks that Odysseus took 10 years to get home. God damn it, Jorge. Jorge fucks it up and now he's fucking me up. Anyway, like, I know that 7 of those years were trapped on Calypso's island, but that's still 3 years. Well, 2 years, because another year was just spent on Circe's island.
What a mess.
Another thing that arguably has aged a little awkwardly seems to be Circe's characterization seems to be a byproduct of what will eventually morph into the popular negative Tumblr feminist stereotypes for a little bit, where she's completely oblivious, apparently, to female accomplishments, and somehow that seemingly justifies her anger. I wasn't entirely sure what to think about that, to be perfectly honest, though I did appreciate her approach changing to guinea pigs, at least, because, as she puts it, at least they smell nicer.
That's when it started picking back up for me once we were on Cece's island. I was like, okay, there we go. We are back to the fun stuff that I really like about this.
I do love it's a spa.
I also support the guinea pigs being sent to kindergarten classrooms as extra punishment.
Yeah,
That's
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
nice.
Somewhere out there's some hapless news reporter turned guinea pig who is being slobbered on by a 5-year-old.
Exactly.
There's a reason why being sent to a preschool class was considered a fate worse than death for a good chunk of the toys in Toy Story 3.
Yep, exactly. There's a lot of fun detours in this, for sure.
Well, yeah, but really for like the first half of it, I was just like, why am I not having fun? I should be having fun here. Like, yes, it definitely is kind of spinning its wheels a lot in that first half, I feel like.
I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit more about the beginning with Tyson and the dodgeball, though, because that scene's actually quite fun.
River, Leif, how do you feel about Lastragonians being called Canadians?
Max.
That Canadians are actually giant cannibals? Really?
The thing is, the Canadians are one of Rick's punching bags that you just kind of have to accept. Like, it happens when we get Frank into the picture in Heroes of Olympus. It happens with the fact that all of his snow gods apparently live in Montreal.
I mean, Montreal's a good place for snow giants.
Part of Son of Neptune is navigating Canada because Canada is a godless wasteland until you get to Alaska. Like, Canada is just one of Rick's punching bags, same way that I accept the fact that, like, in C.K. McDonald's book, the Americans are punching bags because the man is Irish.
And, like, I don't think Rick is entirely wrong if you frame it from the perspective of you're going through the American Midwest and then through, like, the prairie provinces and then the territories and into Alaska. Sure, fine, that tracks. If you're going through, like, Alberta to get there, it won't be the best impression.
They're going from California up the coast.
Then, yeah, I take that as quite the libelous statements there, Uncle Rick, and I will not stand for that, because the Pacific Northwest of Canada is amazing. I'm totally not biased, because I live here.
Toronto, however, is a godless country. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, so once again, Percy's out of school and dealing with bullies, and to top it off, he has a new classmate named Tyson, who is definitely very neurodivergent coded, and I have mixed feelings about that as well, but it's 2006, I understand.
It's 2006, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
It could be a hell of a lot worse. That is true.
At least you're supposed to sympathize with him. You're supposed to think of him as cute. It's just that he's, I don't know, maybe Down syndrome coded or something like that.
I understand how the coding comes off that way. The impression I got was that this was supposed to be more representative of, like, how Cyclopes are depicted in this universe.
Yeah, it's like big dumb brutes.
It's because of how Polyphemus is presented. But I also wondered, like, is Tyson actually 13 or is he younger? And he's just been taken as a 13-year-old because of how fucking massive he is.
I think it's implied in the books that Cyclopes age a lot faster than humans do, but also live longer. So in Cyclops years, he is in fact still a baby, which in part explains his very simplistic vocabulary, but he comes across as an unusually tall preteen.
You may be thinking of satyrs, but I think it's also possible they apply to both, given that Cyclopes are the children of nature spirits and gods.
And Poseidon.
Not always Poseidon.
But mostly Poseidon, it sounds like.
But satyrs, they age slower because Grover's supposed to be in his 20s, but he still looks like a preteen. Meanwhile, Tyson also looks like a preteen, but it's implied that maybe he's, like, in single-digit years somewhere. Like, maybe he's, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something, maybe. Because they literally say he's a baby in Cyclops years.
Yeah. For me, what's most interesting about, like, Tyson is how strong his mist is. Like, even Percy, who is aware of these things, is... like, it takes Annabeth being like, really look at him for Percy to be like, oh, wait.
Which you would really think it'd be easier for him, considering the fact, as is revealed, they are half-brothers.
Well, Percy has missed complication. It always takes him at least a double check before he clocks what's going on. That's just like one of those through lines. It's a thin side effect of Percy being our main character and the fact that, like, we can't reveal everything immediately. So it usually takes him a double take before he processes what's going on. Like, he can kind of clock them with the Lacertonians where he's like, they're fucking bigger than they should be. The fuck is going on here? Percy should be allowed to say fuck. A stance of this podcast, let Percy say fuck.
13-year-old boys from New York would say it a lot.
And then when the Lacertonians show their cards, when they call him Perseus, he's like, oh, fucking Christ, god damn it, not again.
I think it's also a side effect of Percy is categorically an exception in that he is a demigod who largely grew up ignorant of what he really was, and he got to have as normal a childhood as he could given the circumstances. And part of that did mean that he kind of learned to stop noticing the stuff that was weird, like seeing a Pegasus on the roof, or, hey, there were snakes in my cot when I was in preschool. Like, he learned not to pay attention to that stuff. And he is a very intelligent and clever person, and I think there are some great examples of that in this one specifically, but his perception stats suck.
I will also say, because I did start, before I realized I wasn't going to have time to reread both of them, I did start by rereading the first couple chapters of The Lightning Thief, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, they are gaslighting this boy so much.
Mm-hmm.
He was especially punished for noticing shit. They called him a liar. Because they couldn't see it. So, conceal, don't feel. He just stopped talking about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hold Percy like a plushie.
Given that you mentioned the Emily Wilson, I'm trying to remember now when Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey came out, because I'm trying to
I was in college.
remember. Okay, so probably not 06 or 05 when this would have been written, but, like, Emily Wilson was one of the translators who actually was like, no, the sirens aren't seducers. They don't sing beautiful songs that lure men with desires like that. They sing truth. That is what draws people to them.
2017.
Okay, so it
I was out of
Emily
college.
Wilson. So now I want to know what translation Rick did, because what he does with the sirens, I think, is really fucking cool.
Oh, it's easily the best part of the book in my eyes. It's one of those...
So it's just like, there's the Rick Riordan I know and love. Thank you. Because Like I said, the first half is not as much fun as The Lightning Thief was, partially because it's spending so much time spinning its wheels, and I just don't think the stuff at camp is as fun as it was, and I think Hermes' introduction was actually really weak.
Don't kill me, but I actually think the movie did it better.
I was taken, though, by the very mid-2000s description of how they modernized his communication ability, because he's got one of those cell phones with the antenna on it, as the Caduceus.
I love George and Martha.
Hello, George and Martha.
George and Martha, my beloved. I miss them so dearly.
George and Martha were so much fun.
Remember, snakes work for tips. Next time, get me a rat.
I think it's a good introduction to Hermes in terms of, like, letting him be a little shit with his own motivations, specifically in the, hey, look, I got you a ride. Am I going to mention that my son is on the boat? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. I do think that the thing that the Percy Jackson series does well in the fact that we are following middle schoolers around, but then, like, they are constantly dealing with gods, is that they are constantly dealing with other people's agendas who have no interest in explaining things to them. And, you know, you could call it a deus ex machina, that, like, this boat just happens to be the one that Luke is on. But in terms of this world, it makes so much sense that Hermes is just like, yeah, go have fun. Maybe you can talk some sense into my kid, but he doesn't mention that that's what is going on.
And I mean, in fairness, for one thing, the Greeks invented deus ex machina, so it just makes sense that that would be appearing in this story. And additionally, like, I mean, who among us, when we were in middle school, didn't kind of feel like that? That we were just pawns in the grown-ups' agendas and they won't tell us what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Would you say, River, that this is where the first instance of I want my goddamn child support Percy shows up? Like, at the end?
Kind of. I would argue that goddamn child support Percy has been there since, again, Luke first revealed that most kids don't get claim. And he has that whole little speech about, like, damn, that shit's depressing. And so it just sort of continues to bubble from that point. But what I was going to say about Hermes and his introduction is it is lightly implied Hermes might know that Luke is on that boat. But my dear young cousin, if there's one thing I've learned over the eons is that you can't give up on your family, no matter how tempting they make it. It doesn't matter if they hate you or embarrass you or simply don't appreciate your genius for inventing the internet.
Oh my God.
I did like that part.
Hermes, I want to say that's a mistake, but also with the internet, I wouldn't have met all the people here, so thank you for that, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Hermes, I guess, for making this podcast and, more importantly, my found family possible.
It is morally neutral.
It is a sword. The sword has two edges. For every good, there must be a bad. Anyway, point is that, like, Hermes' introduction works in the sense of, like, the two gods we have kind of met so far in the books are Ares, who sucks, Dad, who, like, doesn't suck, but we don't know what to do with him.
And he doesn't really know how to talk to his kid either.
Well, yes. And so we're like, okay, we need a middle ground between these two options.
Oh, wow, we're just ignoring Mr. D. Okay, interesting.
Dionysus falls into sucks category, honestly.
A little bit.
He is like, if Hermes is our middle point on the line graph, Poseidon's on one end, Ares is on the other, Dionysus is between Hermes and Ares on that side of the line graph.
I would say that's fair. Speaking of Mr. D, I should say, oh boy, yeah, shit really is fucked at camp.
Shit is real fucked.
So Thalia's tree has been poisoned, Chiron has been blamed, and they've replaced him with Tantalus, which, for those of you who don't know, in Greek mythology, I mean, there are varying reasons why, because that's just how myths work, but basically he's cursed to never be able to eat or drink again.
There's a reason we have the word tantalizing.
Yeah!
That's where it comes from, that's right.
Do you think he was beefing with Percy specifically because of the stuff that suggests his son was Poseidon's lover?
Oh, maybe. I mean, Rick clearly knows his stuff, but who really knows, unless we ask him.
I think he's just a king who can't handle people who don't bow to authority, and Percy, anti-authority to his core, is like, fuck this asshole!
Percy also just comes crashing back in to complete chaos. He doesn't know anything that's going on, and he's just like, what the fuck? Why are you guys not listening? And all of this shit is completely out of order. And so I think Tantalus immediately just takes umbrage with the fact that Percy is not with the program, despite the fact that Percy hasn't been around to be with the program.
Percy is suffering from but my routines.
Yeah.
No!
Percy rocks back up to camp and is suffering from but my routines.
And in Percy's defense, Tantalus's routine involves telling the kids how he once did a cannibalism on other kids.
Also, like, Percy's anti-authority is the same sort of vein that you give an anti-authority character that you're supposed to like in eventual times.
He's wrong! You're wrong! The whole damn system is wrong! Ah!
Percy does not follow authority, he doesn't put trust in. Chiron, the only reason he follows Chiron is because Chiron did the work to earn his trust back after the stint at Yancey. And so
gaslighting notwithstanding.
Gaslighting notwithstanding. He's willing to trust Chiron. And that is why he follows Chiron's authority. So when Chiron says just try and keep your head down and stay safe, he's willing to kind of attempt to do that for like 5 seconds before Grover Dream hits, and he's like, okay, 2 birds, 1 stone, let's go!
Percy Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, but like any other authority figure that appears in the books in any capacity, it is not until they do the work of like explaining things to Percy in a way that makes them make sense, or like gets him coming around to like some form of like solidification, that Percy finally like will follow their lead and, you know, follow, like, he trusts Annabeth, so Annabeth could huck him off a cliff and he would let it happen.
He would say, how high?
And probably say thank you.
Yeah. Get somebody who you trust as much as I trust my girlfriend to kick me off a cliff. So Tantalus, being both a disruptor in the but my routines capacity, and also like when Percy is like, hey man, we should probably work on fixing this, having him be like, no, silly little boy, like, go away. He's like, I'm about to make this man's life a living hell. And when Dionysus, that's the reason he and Dionysus continue to clash, because Dionysus is like, yeah, your dad's important, but I don't have to give a shit about you specifically. And he's like, fuck you too, asshole!
Plus, he probably intentionally gets everyone's name wrong, so...
Yeah, I realized Rick wasn't quite at the point where he was just like, yeah, no, actually the gods kind of suck and deserve to be told off, but the seeds were already there.
The reason that, like, come book 5, it is that sort of instinct that, like, you know, Percy's deep sense of loyalty and his, like, I don't trust everything at face value. It is that sort of energy that is going to have all of the campers following him to war. And so you get, like, streaks of it here, even if this Percy is very, 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 very much team, I'm 13 and I don't want to die.
Giles, I'm 16 years old. I don't want to die.
So we've gotten back to camp, everything's under attack and on fire. Annabeth and Percy are immediately on the rocks because of the Tyson situation that Annabeth is giving Percy no context for.
Yeah.
And Tantalus is just here to make things worse.
And be creepy.
Don't forget Clarice!
I mean, yeah, let's not. Clarice.
Clarice, in all things considered, Clarice isn't really, I would argue, is kind of mellowed out from book 1.
Well, yeah.
Like, she's not really picking fights with Percy, she's just more annoyed because, in this case, she has been around doing more of the work, whereas Annabeth and Percy just kind of waltzed in and started taking up space as the main characters.
We were this close to having a summer that wasn't all about them.
Does the Aries cabin have it's been this many days since Percy Jackson ruined our life?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Well, and it clearly, like, you know, Percy overhears that conversation between Clarice and Ares later on the ship. And, like, Clarice is in a very sticky situation because Ares, he's a god who isn't one of the big three and thus is allowed to have children and have relationships with his children. He clearly doesn't have a good relationship with his daughter because he cares about his image, and Clarice has not been helping his image.
Yeah, again, also Ares is on the sucks side of the spectrum, so that doesn't help matters.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, not to cite the other books at us, because we're not there yet, but I do appreciate when he pops up in Son of Neptune, and Percy, amnesiac, is like, why the fuck do I automatically want to hate this guy? I hate him on sight. Fuck this guy in particular. He's not even Ares, he's actually, he's appearing as Mars, and Percy's just like, fuck that guy in particular.
I don't know why, but fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly valid, honestly.
Ares is hardcore Hell's Angels coded right from the beginning when we first meet him in the first book, so yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see him escorting abused children to their trials. Anyway.
No, we're talking about that rock festival on the West Coast where people died. That type.
What?
Oh, yeah, the 90s Alabama.
I'm not... Don't explain it to me.
Yeah, the Alamo Speedway.
Let's just get to the killer birds.
The killer birds.
Yes, because Stymphalian birds attacked the camp at one point.
And speaking of gaslighting Percy.
Fucking evil pigeons.
Yeah, they blame him for provoking the birds into attacking, whereas... as far as they were concerned, they were just minding their own business, and then he had to start getting involved, and then they attacked. It's totally his fault, guys.
Totally his
fault.
And
this is how we learn that dish duty includes lava.
Yeah, when I was reading that part, I was just like, where the fuck did the birds come from? What is happening here? And why are they, like, apparently able to eat you to the bone? Like, what is this? That feels like a monster thing that should not be allowed in camp.
The birds are Hercules' labor. Again, this is something that doesn't come up in literally any adaptation, and I think only appears in a couple of brief references in like some of the shorts that Rick has written over the years. The forest is filled with monsters as a training ground. There are monsters that live in that there woods. That's part of the like danger of playing capture the flag.
But they're supposed to be like low-level CR1 monsters.
Yeah.
With the Stymphalian birds, we're looking at least a CR3.
Yeah, and that's a result. That is like another sign that like, hey, the barrier failing is a bad thing. We do not want this happening.
Yes, and them attacking is a reference to the weakening of the barrier. I also love how to do the modern version of they're frightened away by loud noises. They play Dean Martin to frighten them off. It just kind of makes me wonder which one was it. Everybody's someone. I don't know.
Well, they did specify that it was something in Italian, I believe, so...
So probably that's Amore was playing then. I do love how Chiron's go-to music is old-timey easy listening.
Well, bless him. I love this nerdy centaur so fucking much.
Yeah.
Me too.
I miss him dearly the entire time he's not in this book.
Yes, good.
I am like Percy in that respect. Give me my horse dad back.
Not the horses that my dad sent. My horse dad. There's a difference.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, it's cool my dad sent the fish horses. I still want my horse dad.
Mermaid horses! I love them so much.
Hippocampi.
I love hippocampi so much. They're so cute. I love them. I love that Tyson loves them so much. I love the rainbow bonds with Tyson. I'm just like,
Well, yeah, it's rainbow mermaid horsies. How can you not love them?
I want one. Gayest sea creature you could imagine.
I think every time there's a new Starbucks, it means new hippocampi.
Yeah. Tracks.
Because Starbucks have a mermaid.
Yeah.
And yet no hippocampi frappuccino? Come on, Starbucks. Like we weren't already mad at you. But anyway.
Well, this book implies that beheading a hydra does that. Percy doesn't get the quest in this one. Clarice does.
She gets the prophecy. It was meant to be her quest, because we have established lore that states if you go to the Oracle and the Oracle does not give you a prophecy, you do not have a quest.
Yes. But Percy is the one who gets the Grover dream, where Grover is like, hey man, so here's the thing. Because the reason Grover is missing, by the way, Because again, we opened this book with Grover in a wedding dress. Grover, at the end of the last book, got his searcher's license and is now finally allowed to look for Pan. Pan, famously, has been declared either dead or missing. In the Percy Jackson verse, he's missing, which, again, might be a huge, massive translation error, but we don't have time to get into it. So all satyrs eventually embark on a quest to go looking for Pan, and this is Grover's turn. And Grover has decided that he's gonna check the seas. We haven't done that yet. No, we don't send Grover to space, don't worry. But in doing so, has gotten himself nabbed by a Cyclops. Grover has tricked him into thinking he's a lady Cyclops and put on goat perfume.
Oh, the chèvre.
And is now stuck. And is establishing an empathy bond link with Percy in the hopes of getting him the message of like, hey man, get me the fuck out of here, please. Even though that empathy bond risks killing them both.
I'm too young to get gay monster married.
Also, the fact that, like, Grover knows how oblivious Percy can be and how long it can take him to, like, realize what is going on, and he's still just like, nope, this is my best friend, he will come for me, I know it, I just need him to, like, understand what's going on. Please, empathy link work.
He knows that Percy will not ignore a friend's cry for help and would immediately turn to Annabeth with any information that he had and try to explain shit, and Annabeth, through brain cell, would solve the rest of it. Grover knows his friends. And so Grover sends a dream being like, hey man, get me the fuck out of here, please. Please!
And between that and also the poison tree, we basically figure out if we get a hold of the golden fleece, yes, that golden fleece, from Jason and the Argonauts, we can heal the tree!
Also, the Grey Sisters gave us some funky coordinates while they were driving us in a demon taxi to camp. But we don't know their coordinates yet.
But as soon as Percy's out at sea, suddenly he does know what those numbers mean, because being the son of the sea god means you just know what nautical coordinates are.
And also know how to magic rigging? Incredible. No notes. I love that.
Amazing.
Give Percy a pirate ship. Another one.
Because we do encounter some pirates later on in the story.
Is that Blackbeard? Hmm? No, I'm Blackbeard.
Hi, Ed.
Hello, Ed.
I mean, hey, it tracks. He was last seen off of Virginia.
Listen,
Hey, not the weirdest thing that is said to happen to Blackbeard. According to some people, after he was executed, his head was separated from his body tossed in the ocean, and it swam around his ship before disappearing into the ocean.
In a world without gold, we could have been heroes. But yes, Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard, son of Ares,
That tracks.
starts storming Cece's hostel, which allows Percy and Annabeth to escape, and they take the Queen Anne's revenge as thanks.
So Percy, yeah, he does indeed get a pirate ship.
Probably because it's the closest to a Greek ship. But before that, we had to go through the whole process of what happened on the Princess Andromeda. Luke!
You're not wrong, you're just an asshole!
Yeah. Also, Luke, how the hell did you get a cruise ship?
His father's the god of thieves?
Yeah,
I guess that tracks.
It seems like he stole it from Australia. There's a mention that the cruise director's voice is Australian. And as everybody knows, Australians completely populated with criminals. And criminals are used to having people not trust them, just as you are not trusted by me.
Clearly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Well, clearly that didn't save anybody on that cruise. Didn't stop them from getting super brainwashed, apparently.
Heavy dose to the mist, man. It's what it does to a person. But yeah, Luke, and your college chic bad guy. You absolute rat bastard. My favorite idiot son.
This is definitely him at his worst so far, anyway.
Yeah, this leans into the problem that Luke's has at the end of the first book, where he gets a little mustache twirly.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I don't think Rick settled on how he wanted to portray Luke until 3, where he brings Thalia back into the picture, and then he finally sorts out the emotional core. We are being so good. We are being so good.
I'm thinking about Titan's Curse stuff, so...
We are being so good. I have to reread Titan's Curse, and I have to go reread the Diary of Luke Castellan, which I was gonna do before I did this, but... We're distracted by shiny objects.
Of course he has a diary.
It's one short story, but...
Also a ship loaded with monsters called the Princess Andromeda. Are we the baddies?
It's ironic.
I mean, they're kind of rolling with the idea of, like, not to fully go Anakin Skywalker on Maiden, but they're leaning into the from a certain point of view, the gods are evil, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like, one of the people who they recognize on the ship is Chris Rodriguez, who, this is the character's first introduction within the books, but he was an unclaimed camper of the Hermes cabin. Luke has a non-zero amount of people he can pull from at Camp Half-Blood who would have a very good reason to be pissed.
Yeah, and again...
And we know that he has spies at Camp Half-Blood still.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it.
I am being so good!
We are being so good and so normal. I am only going to briefly mention Ethan Nakamura, who doesn't appear in this book, but will appear eventually. And Ethan Nakamura, who has a damn good reason to hate his mom.
Yeah, I sympathized with him big time, honestly, in the books. But in the meantime, yeah, we take advantage of the fact our trio, I suppose, of Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson get some of the information that they need while on the Princess Andromeda before escaping, because before they took off, Hermes just happened to drop by and give Percy some helpful plot points for later on in the book, some Chekhov's guns.
Surprise tool that'll help us later.
Holy moly, these look familiar. It's almost like we're referencing the Odyssey.
We got a thermos to win. We got a thing of gummies. We got cash.
Cash is good.
Cash is good in general. Make sure you're traveling with cash, people. Credit cards and debit cards can fail.
Imagine being able to buy a one-way ticket from Miami to New York on $300.
Money used to mean something.
I think that is still possible. You just have to fly Spirit Air.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or take like a 6 a.m. flight.
Imagine being able to walk into an airport and hand over $300 and say, hello, I would like to buy one ticket from Miami to New York. No, I don't need a return trip. Do not worry about giant thing of wool I'm holding.
Missed.
Yes.
Probably.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
I just feel like these days to book a flight, you have to pay in advance online now, otherwise you can't check in.
Probably.
But also, do not worry about whatever the wool looks like in the mist form, which we don't actually know, because we only just see it from...
No, we do! It looks like a Letterman jacket.
We do.
It does?
That's true,
Okay.
yeah, it does say that.
Right, okay. So it looks like a Letterman jacket, and then spoilers for the next book looks like spoilers. Got it.
One of the things I really do like about Riordan is that he will also put in more obscure Greek myth stuff, so I'll admit I did like the inclusion of the Bear Twins, because that was something I had not heard of yet.
Oh yeah, that was a fun detail for sure. And also, I didn't actually know what Laestrygonians were until I came across these books, believe it or not. I'm sure that I'd come across Greek myths where they were in there, but for some reason the name slipped out of my head. But somehow Hecatoncheire did not. I don't know why.
It's funny what we latch onto, but yes, to circle back to Agrias and Aureus, which are the Bear Twins. Their mother was punished by Aphrodite for not worshipping her because she became a devotee of the goddess Artemis and decided to basically make her fuck a bear. Because the gods really loved making people fuck things that weren't other people. Ugh.
I mean, Aphrodite in particular seems notorious for that.
Their mother was a nymph. She was a daughter of a river god named Strymon. Yes, I pulled up the Wikipedia page. Her name was Polyphony.
So did I. Don't feel bad.
Artemis disowned her, like, was disgusted by the bear fucking, and, like, cast her out.
Well, we'll get into Artemis next time.
But so that gave us the Bear Twins, and honestly I'm surprised the romantasy girlies haven't latched onto this more.
For whatever reason, the monster fucker girlies like wolves better than bears, but there is a non-zero amount of bear shifter fic and romance that I've seen out there.
I was gonna say, there is a bear shifter Goldilocks in the Three Bears romance novel. I know this because of a Storygraph giveaway.
I'm not immune to this.
Oh my.
I have romanced Halsin in Baldur's Gate 3.
If the choice is between a man and a bear, why not choose both?
Listen, the monster fucker girlies do not, like, as a rule, know what entirely to do with the half-man, half-creatures. Like, they can do werewolves, but that's kind of where the normies draw the line, which means you gotta get the true monster fucker weirdos to, like, sell the rest of it. But this is not a podcast about monster fucking, contrary to our every...
Yet.
Excuse me while I quietly put away my copy of Bold Moon Rising.
Because otherwise we'd have to discuss whether or not anybody is shipping anybody with either Scylla or Charybdis, considering that we encounter them in this book later too.
There are probably Tumblr girlies who are deeply into, at bare minimum, Hades 2 interpretation of Scylla.
Yeah, Scylla also has some Medusa energy going for her in other ways. We're not here to talk about that right now, because Rick has not tapped into that side of things and is mostly focused on big scary monster, what is going to make it hard for us to get in.
Yes, they are strictly obstacles here. You'll just have to wait 2 weeks to hear more about monster fucking. Wink, wink.
Which is fine.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Charybdis as an obstacle definitely makes sense.
Surprise, we've got a whirlpool.
A whirlpool with teeth.
Yeah, I do love the, Jesus Christ.
Well, no, because Greek. I'm sorry.
But, the general panic that arises of trying to, put this tiny-ass iron boat through the middle.
Yeah.
Clarice's idea of how to do this is blow up a whirlpool.
Yeah.
Clarice is not the sharpest tool in the shed yet.
So much so. There are so many moments where I'm just like, oh, honey, you are so bad at this.
It should be noted that Ares is strictly a warpath god. He is the rage of war. He is the blind bloodlust and not satiated until everyone's a piece of meat.
Yep, to the point where she kind of wrecks any chance of them having, even just a little bit more time to come up with a plan towards the end.
Yeah, do we know how old Clarice is supposed to be? Because I get the feeling that she's a little bit older than Annabeth and Percy are, but I'm just girly, you have a daughter of Athena with you. Why are you not, at least listening to strategy at all?
Number 1, Clarice has an ego problem. Number 2, it is never stated how old Clarice is in comparison to the others. I think it's implied they're either roughly the same age or one of those things where she's 18 months older. No one is beating Annabeth in terms of how long people have been there, but Clarice might beat her in the age category by 18 months sort of deal.
I think I remember a thing where Clarice was old enough to drive before Percy and Annabeth were. That's the one frame of reference I have.
Yeah. Number 3, Clarice has an ego problem.
Doesn't have the sense the gods gave a pigeon.
And there's also the problem of her dad just kind of making it worse.
Yeah.
Because he was giving those orders of, do not let Jackson steal this from you. And Annabeth and Percy are kind of a package deal.
They are pack bonded, do not separate. In fact, when Hera separates them, it goes poorly for everyone involved.
Uh-huh.
Also, more specifically, is Clarice's ego problem is this whole thing. And Clarice, she's just such a fucking nightmare. I love her so much. She's so fucking insane.
I mean, I guess someone like her did get the kind of crew she deserved. A bunch of zombie Civil War losers.
Yeah. Rick.
Another thing that's aged more than a little awkwardly is something to just casually have in there, that this is a Civil War era ironclad.
It is at least framed as punishment. It is a punishment from Ares for losing the war.
Yeah, they need to be punished for more than that, Ares!
Ares can only do so much within his domain.
I think what's supposed to happen is that they are in Tartarus most of the time, but Ares can, tap them out for vacation. Actually, no, it's fucking when California rents prisoners to fight forest fires.
Yeah, that tracks. For sure.
I mean, it also should be noted that Tantalus has a prison uniform.
Yeah.
That's right. He's described as having one in the book.
No person shall be held in slavery except as punishment for a crime.
Mm-hmm.
The bar is in Tartarus.
Rick is not immune from being an American.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, they end up there because they escape from the Princess Andromeda and they end up in a Virginia bayou and then get attacked by a Hydra, and Clarice comes in and rescues them from the Hydra, and so that's how they end up there.
Which is an old hideout from Annabeth's time, traveling with Luke and Thalia. We have not talked enough about how Thalia does quietly, slither her way through the narrative this time around.
Yep, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She is the being that haunts
The narrative.
So Annabeth is from Virginia. Reminder, she was 7 when she ran away in a warehouse. And so Thalia and Luke clearly spent some amount of time in Virginia before making their way north. And as such, have basically set up little safe points and hideaways where they stashed gear and what supplies they could spare. And then we have donuts. And we've got a Hydra to deal with. And that is when the plot comes crashing back in. But Thalia being the thing that hovers and haunts in this part of the narrative, as we get our first inkling, our first suggestion of the Great Prophecy. We do not have its full words yet, but we've gotten its existence. And we've got one of the dreams. We haven't talked about the dreams yet, but we talked a lot about the dreams in the first book. But the dreams are still here in the second book. And we're standing on the edge of Tartarus, and there she is. She's making her second dream appearance, to Percy specifically. Her description has only slightly changed. I see your green to blue, Mr. Riordan, but she is prepared to go. She's got Aegis, she's got a spear, she's gonna kick snot until something stops her. And then Percy gets woken up.
Gotta love those demigod prophetic dreams.
Yeah. Hey, check out how hard I can cry!
And, well, that's going to get a little bit harder because, of course, Clarice's hubris leads to the Ironclad blowing the fuck up, so...
Yep.
And it's implied that maybe Tyson didn't make it because he went down to the boiler to try and help.
Tyson wanted to fix things. It's what he does. It's what he's good at. And he's fire resistant, so...
Which is why there's plausibility to it being a fake-out, but still, Percy, for some reason, has a real difficult time believing it.
Yeah, Percy doesn't know that. Percy's 13!
And being fire resistant is different than being in the heart of an explosion when it occurs.
Yeah, Percy has only just started to toy with the water abilities of it all. So he doesn't know if Tyson got that as part of the sibling package. Like, you know, all demigods have different relationships to their parents' domain and their parents' power. And we haven't fully explored what some of those are yet, except for Percy being main character, so he's got some funkier ones.
Yeah, like we learn in the first book that he can breathe underwater and he can also not get wet when emerging from water if he so chooses.
Yeah, and he's got moderate to severe hydrokinesis in the pocket, but he can't do it on command yet. Don't worry, we're getting there. Point is that, you know, he doesn't know if Tyson got that as part of being Poseidon's kid yet. Like, it's entirely possible that's not part of his kit. So, if the explosion didn't kill him, but the drowning did.
Understandable funk, to the point that not even checking in at a luxury spa resort in the middle of the Sea of Monsters could quite cheer him up.
No, all it does is give him self-esteem issues for a bit there. Cersei, you bitch, that little boy is a child.
Hi, Hilla. You don't know why she's important yet, but I do. Hi, Hilla.
Oh, dear.
It's a surprise tool that'll help us later.
Oh, dear.
Honestly, I really liked the angle that Cersei went with. I think that was, like, a really interesting thing, because, you know, one of the criticisms that gets lobbied is that Percy is, to some level, a wish fulfillment character, Mary Sue, etc. So it was nice to see, like, some of Percy's insecurities really brought to the surface, because a lot of the time Percy is way too focused on I have to stay the fuck alive to really reflect on what he likes or dislikes about himself. I really liked that, and I liked, you know, that it was, you know, yet another instinct of, yeah, Annabeth's the brain cell.
And it's a very relatable teen thing to do. Like, Cersei knows her audience, unfortunately.
Perseus has two internal monologue modes, which is, I need to stay the fuck alive, and I am an incandescent ball of rage, but I am trying to contain it, but my face probably has subtitles.
Yeah, and I mean, the way Cersei phrases it, too, as well, it's just like, because the thing is, if she just outright hurled verbal abuse at him, he would just get defensive and probably attack. But no, she frames it in the very kindly, oh, I'm just trying to help.
Also, Percy Skater Kid confirmed.
I mean, that didn't shock me when I first read it. There was something about the attitude that made me think, this seems like the kind of kid who'd be into it, but I didn't want to assume. Not everyone fits the stereotypes, after all. But yeah, that was a fun little touch. And also, later him seeing Annabeth getting her makeover at the spa and saying that she was both very beautiful, but did not look at all like Annabeth.
To briefly mention the show, when people complain that, Percy was supposed to be a slow bird, no, it was never a slow bird. Percy's just stupid. Annabeth has canonically had a crush on him since she was 13. Percy does not know what the feeling he feels towards Annabeth is, but he's got feelings about it.
Percy's just your average dumb teenage boy about it.
Percebeth was never a slow bird. You were just in Percy's head, and he doesn't know shit about fuck.
Also, Percy has had, 3 friends his entire life, including Annabeth. So, of course he's just sitting there yeah, this is my best friend, and she's a girl, and I guess, maybe it's different because she's a girl. And so he's just yeah, he's a teenage boy. He's a teenage boy who is extremely under-socialized and awkward. He didn't have a chance. He's stupid. It's fine.
He is a seaweed brain. We all know this.
Yes.
Sometimes being a teenager is having the emotional maturity of a guinea pig.
So maybe that's what Cersei meant by unlocking his true potential.
And thankfully, he does get saved because, yes, Annabeth does indeed have the brain cell and breaks out of Cersei's influence and basically rescues him as well as Blackbeard and his crew, which, again, that's crazy. Very clever and silly.
Even as guinea pigs, they were too unruly to be sent to a kindergarten class.
What I'm curious about was, did that mean she tried sending one of them? Did it bite a child? And she was like, okay, I can't send any of the others.
Probably tried to eat a kid.
Oh, God.
Who knows?
Yikes.
Yeah, it was probably more than just a bite. It was probably a chomp down to the bone.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't put it past Edward Teach in guinea pig form.
We use the power of vitamins to free Percy and the crew of Blackbeard. The crew starts terrorizing the island while Percy and Annabeth take their ship and we're off to the Sirens!
We're off to the Sirens, baby, and Percy, again, part of the uselessness of the Poseidon Power Kit, somehow can magically do rigging.
Yep.
Hey, it clearly helped here.
It helped, it's just a funny thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and also with the multivitamins saving the day, the Minotaur-shaped ones are the lemon flavor ones. Beautiful. Beautiful.
The siren scene was my favorite scene, bar none.
It's pretty much every Percebeth shipper's favorite scene.
It's not even just that. Obviously, I'm the mermaid guy. I love a siren. And I do love what Rick does with them, when it's just, they're luring you in with your heart's desire, basically. And I love that Percy was able to see what Annabeth wants the most in all of the world. And it was heartbreaking. And it kind of goes back to what you said about the TV show, River, how knowing the tropes will not save you.
Yeah, she wants a family.
She wants family, and she wants to build something that's gonna outlive her.
God's help and forgive her.
Percy got the reference last season. Annabeth gets it this book.
Yeah.
Annabeth's fascination with architecture is both a nerdy hyperfixation, but it is also an extension of her desire to build something permanent, Ran away from her family when she was 7, and then she had camp, and then Luke upended everything. I think it's, pretty fucking telling that Luke and her father are both in that image.
She wants permanency of some sort.
It's also another moment where Percy gets so close to understanding I'm in love with this girl, and then it's gone.
Yeah, so close.
You wanted to be there with her, Percy. Just admit it.
I also just think it's so, I think just a really good way of, showcasing Annabeth's character in a book that is strictly Percy's point of view by having her so adamant about, I want to hear what they're using to call me. I want to hear the song. I want to know. And also Percy just trusting her. And, he doesn't try to argue with her or anything. He's just okay. And is just such a good character moment. And I think especially in a book that is so fast-paced, and they're just, constantly launching themselves from point A to point B, that having such a heartfelt look into the character is just really, really well done.
Yeah. Also, Percy, you didn't think to take her dagger?
Again, he's kind of an idiot. We love him, but...
Listen, he's maybe got a couple of brain cells.
Annabeth didn't suggest it before she got tied up?
Probably not. No, I don't think she did. I don't think there are any real time skips in that scene. But yeah, no, it's just a very good scene, both just in terms of mythical ideas and just the portrayal of Percabeth in general. Like, yeah, no, I believe these two are soulmates.
Yeah, I remember even reading the books, though, worrying if it would feel a bit comp-het, but luckily the two of them have wonderful chemistry and I buy it, so...
It doesn't help that Annabeth doesn't get a lot of relationships with other women, but that's neither here nor there.
Baby girl's still kind of shaking off the N-log.
In her defense, she's 13, and has been basically raised like this for all her life. And Thalia is not a perfect role model in that capacity.
Yeah, because I'm thinking she's just about the only other female character she has a positive dynamic with at all, as far as I know, at least in these 5 books.
She has decent relationships with Piper and Hazel. She just doesn't know what to do with them. But that's later books, and are being so good. Anyway, yeah, this occasionally suffers from, she's the only girl I know. Fix that, we should.
You know, it doesn't hurt to have more than one representative of a demographic in your, inner circles.
What an idea.
It's almost as if you can't simply boil down a demographic to just one individual and put all of the responsibilities thereof on that one individual.
Yeah.
What a novel concept. Anyway, we're finally at the island of Polyphemus.
Yeah, should we talk about Grover and Polyphemus and Clarice?
Grover,
Yeah, nobody's really having a good time with this, are they?
No, this would have been a toxic marriage even without the fact that this is well, no, I guess he's not technically a literal child, but he is to me.
Yeah.
Jazz, I set up a nobody joke.
Yes, sorry. Whoosh.
Grover holds like plushie.
Well, I mean, one of the chapters of this book is literally titled, Nobody Gets the Fleece.
Props to Rick for milking that as fucking much as he possibly could.
Right?
Annabeth is clearly having so much fun with it.
It handshake the damn joke.
Yes, in book 3. But, like, to me, Percy's internal narration of, and nobody was gonna hurt her. No, not nobody like that. You know what I mean.
Annabeth Chase, as a young child, somehow managed to see Return of the King and saw the I am no man scene and was like, I'm gonna make that my whole personality.
Oh my god.
I like the island for what it is. It does get a little confusing in the geography occasionally, but, like, whatever. It's a fight scene. I'm more interested in the reappearance of Tyson and getting the shit kicked and kicking the shit out of each other.
And then Tyson toes up to toss a boulder into Polyphemus's mouth.
Yep.
Yeah. We mentioned that he got blown up, but then we were like, and now we're on Percabeth Island.
That is true, yes.
I mean, the thing that the book does. The book's like, now that we've gotten the Cyclops elephant out of the room, we can develop our 2 main leads for 5 seconds.
As we all know, insulting a man's ship be worse than insulting his mother.
But in fairness, Percy was genuinely kind of heartbroken. It's just like, man, I didn't appreciate my brother nearly enough before we lost him forever.
Yeah. Percy, that loyalty streak, man.
But yeah, it was great having Tyson come back at that moment. It was a fun little hero to the rescue moment right there with the build-up, and there's some fun moments of psychological manipulation that we get with Polyphemus, and we get the revelation that he's not just a dumb brute. He, in fact, does know how to manipulate very effectively. Like, he feigns sorrow at thinking he's been defeated, and then as soon as Percy steps back thinking that he's won, he's like, ha, fooled you.
Yeah. And also just like Percy's 13. Man, I don't think I at 13 could take that. Like...
And also, if we were to talk about the inappropriateness of marrying Grover, I mean, eventually when he realizes that Grover is a satyr, he then decides he's going to marry Clarice. It's just like, she is quite a few years away from that being legal, never mind a lot of other things, but...
That little girl is a child. I don't want to see you sniffing around her anymore this afternoon. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Boy, have you lost your mind, because I'll help you find it.
Ancient Greece.
Ancient Greece, and Clarice would not have gone quietly.
I have to remind myself, Zeus and Hera are also brother and sister, as well as husband and wife.
Yeah, I mean, they go into the logistics of what is or isn't acceptable based
the gods
on
must be crazy.
godly parents.
Yeah, so long as you don't date within your own siblinghood. No, but yeah, no, Clarice would have fucking killed him in the wedding bed. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
Probably would have done it with his own kilt made out of baby blue tuxedos.
Good for her.
God, that visual is so fucking terrifying, but also hilarious.
That is kind of Rick's bread and butter. Again, the Minotaur wears tidy whities.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Honestly,
Charybdis has braces.
That's, like, honestly, what I've always loved the most about Rick is that he can do like this slow building of stakes and terror in the background while never fully compromising the tone.
Something Riordan does really well is knowing that this is narrated by a middle school boy. So, like, he builds up the stakes and, like, you know, it feels appropriate for a YA adventure, but all of the narration feels so perfect for a middle school aged boy. And
yes,
I think that really, really helps with that balance of tone and the kind of terror that he can build while also having those details that kind of still bring in that levity with it.
Yeah, like the Hydra's wearing a souvenir bib from the donut shop, for crying out loud.
I'm a monster donut kid.
And yet we still don't therefore not take the Hydra seriously as a threat, because it's still the Hydra. It's still the multi-headed reptile that can multiply heads when you behead it. So
I do still love that scene with the Hydra and how Percy, you know, swings his sword on instinct because, like, what else is he supposed to do? And Annabeth is sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's just gonna cause more problems. And Percy's just like, what did you want me to do? I was about to get eaten.
Will you forget the head slicing thing?
There it is.
I had to.
Unfortunately, we don't have a rock slide to cause. Or fire.
Or fire to cauterize the stumps in the case of the original myth. But I mean, there's so many moments.
Indeed, nobody gets the fleece. The fleece becomes a Letterman jacket, and because Polyphemus destroyed the Queen's Anne's revenge, we're taking Rainbow to Miami.
Yay!
We are hauling ass!
Yes.
Yeah. And then we're being met by a centaur herd.
Yeah.
Jazz, as our Floridian expert,
yes,
how weird is Miami to justify the whole Chiron saying everything weird washes up in Miami bit?
I mean, it has the Florida weirdness topped off with the Miami party animal shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta keep in mind, I live in the Central Florida, Orlando area. So I'm about as far from Miami as you can be while still being in Florida.
Well, besides the Panhandle, I guess.
Yeah,
but that is my understanding.
Yeah. Miami has the party animal, the, like, spring breaker sort of vibe.
Very much like the type of rich folks that are constantly having plastic surgeries.
I mean, for a long time, Florida was thought of as like the spring breaker destination for youngsters for generations now, especially if you lived in the eastern part of the U.S. Florida was where you went for spring break parties.
Yes. South Florida is everything Central Orlando is on steroids.
Yeah. I mean, also just like in general, you know, we've got Florida Man, and in Criminal Minds, there's an episode where they're like, hey, we got a case, it's a bad one, and Morgan's like, how bad? And JJ just goes, Florida. And then Morgan gets this look on his face because he's just like, oh, great. So, like, Florida is just your general catch-all weirdness state.
And plus, like, if you gotta take the piss out of one state, he's not gonna take the piss out of Texas, so we gotta take the piss out of Florida.
How long has Florida been, like, one of the easiest U.S. states to make jokes about? I swear.
At least as long as I've lived here.
How long has it had journalism transparency laws? Because that's the main reason we have so many Florida Man stories, is that...
Exactly.
Arrest records are open and accessible, whereas in most other states, it takes a while. Anyway, we made it to Miami, and we finally get the full prophecy for Clarice.
And we send her off with $300 in the fleece and tell her to have at it, while Luke rocks up for single combat.
Of course.
Because he assumed that Percy wouldn't just let Clarice take the fleece with her by herself.
And then we get the horse that transits gender. Rick said it was okay if we keep having that headcanon.
Excellent.
Yay.
And that is why Rick is the better. Of the middle grade, he is one of the good ones. It goes K.
Yep.
Applegate, him.
Because say what you want, the stuff that's aged a little awkwardly about those books, he is perfectly willing to acknowledge it, which is more than you can say for many other authors.
Anyway, we've been doing so well. I'm not going to actually do it, though I might have to for the TV show. Anyway, point is, up rocks our Deus Ex Centaur, as we have revealed that we don't need Tantalus in camp, and that Chiron was indeed framed on Luke's full admission via Iris message.
Honestly, one of the smartest things Percy ever did.
Yeah, Percy basically made Luke pull I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die!
Yeah. Which, it's not impossible that Rick didn't get that from that.
Yeah, back when we thought that would be enough to take down bad guys in real life.
Cries.
Monsters, Inc. is the perfect 2026 movie. In this essay, I will. Anyway.
River, come on, we're being so good.
We're being so good. Anyway, I'm being a good noodle. So we've got our Deus Ex Centaur, and we get to bond with Chiron for a little bit before we go speed racing back to New York, baby!
And Percy finds out that technically Horse Dad is Horse Uncle.
Horse Dad is Horse Uncle. Remember my lecture, he ate his children.
I will say, I love all of the different, magical ways of travel that, get these kids back to camp as soon as possible. And
listen, we can't fly. We gotta do a lot of heavy lifting.
It's kind of like Once Upon a Time told, there are no more portals. There's just all these different ways to travel in the realms. I'm sorry, I know I keep invoking the looming specter. I'm sorry.
Next season is the portal season. It's okay. Anyway, yeah, we make it back to camp.
The blue cookies are alive.
The blue cookies are alive. We put the fleece on the tree and we wait for it to do its magic. And we put an ad in Olympian Weekly to find somebody to guard the fleece.
There's a chariot race that I don't really care about.
But it's cool because there was this moment when Percy and Luke were fighting and Luke had a shield and Annabeth was like, Percy should have one too. And Luke was like, no, you gotta bring your own. And Tyson's like, ah! And then we find out it's because Tyson was making a watch to have a shield for Percy.
Tyson's so sweet.
Yeah, these kids train in armor and train with shields, but shields are so cumbersome to carry in the field that unless you've got one that hides someplace else, you just don't bring them on quests.
They are cumbersome.
Which is why it's great to put it in a watch.
Which is why it's great to put it in a watch or put it into a silver chain.
Also, Percy gets a message from his dad that just says, brace yourself.
You went through the trouble of writing a letter, and it's 2 fucking words?
Yeah, Percy is, actually a little excited to get a letter from his dad. He's like, oh, this guy is actually gonna pay attention to me and, talk to me, and then it's 2 fucking words, and it's not even, direct or anything. Percy has found out about the prophecy. He knows that there's a shitstorm coming, so he's just like, thanks for telling me things I already know, I guess.
Brace for a storm. Anyway,
storm!
Not even a mostly harmless.
Talk to me in 11 books from now. Poseidon's got some growth to do in the dad department. Actually,
yep.
You don't even have to talk to me 11 books from now. Talk to me in 5 books from now. We got some growth to do in the dad department. It's okay.
Truly. Because, that letter was about as comprehensive as Ford Prefect's updated entry on Earth in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Mostly harmless.
But we got far more important matters, as the fleece does its magic a little bit too well. Hi, Thalia Grace. Hello, Zeus putting his piece back on the board.
Also, the fact that when Percy first sees a girl laying on the ground, his first instinct is, what happened to Annabeth?
I mean, in his defense, somebody came up running to him like, Percy, it's Annabeth at the tree.
I could see why
and
he
also
panicked.
Tyson just left, so Percy is hanging on by a thread. There is a small number of people he cares about in his world. His mom is fine. She is in New York. She did the whole Percy Jackson, what the fuck were you thinking? Why did you run off like that? I mean, not what the fuck. Because Sally Jackson, perfect
Sally
woman.
Jackson should get to say fuck as well.
I was gonna say, let the Jackson say fuck.
She's a single mom in New York.
Sally Jackson should get to say fuck. I don't think she would say fuck to Percy in a way that might psychologically damage him.
Except maybe in the same way Aunt May does at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Sally would say that is so fucking cool, or I am so fucking proud. She wouldn't say what the fuck were you thinking?
She would turn to Paul and say, what the fuck was my kid thinking?
Yes. I do think that these books would be improved tenfold if these characters could swear, especially Percy and Sally. Cause
let Percy say fuck.
Yeah. If any kid deserves to say fuck,
Again, I keep thinking about the Adam Project bloopers where tiny baby Walker gets to say fuck, and that's the energy.
I'm also, like, imagining, because Percy, the school he was at in this book was some hippy-dippy new age thing where it's like, yeah, we're gonna say that you read Lord of the Flies, and so we're leaving you in a room for a whole class period. Let's see what happens.
We're leaving you on the playground. We're leaving you unattended on the playground for an hour.
Oh, you completely terrorized each other? Great job, you understood the book perfectly.
Yeah, you made something explode in chemistry class in under a minute.
Congratulations. But oh no, Percy has ungroovy karma, so time for a new school. Again.
We don't have police reports to file anymore. We gotta go to a new school.
The idea that a more hippie-ish school would also just substitute traditional chairs and desks with beanbag chairs.
I'm pretty sure schools like that actually exist.
But yes, so Thalia Grace is in the picture. We'll spend more time with her next book.
Reading that and having to wait months for Titan's Curse, I was going feral.
That's
like,
a cliffhanger on par with the end of Infinity War, I imagine.
Yeah, from September to December of that year, I was like, I needs it! I needs it!
Exactly.
Also important that we don't actually know Thalia's last name is Grace because she just straight up doesn't use it. Fuck Beryl Grace, all my homies hate Beryl Grace.
Oh boy, can't wait to see why you just said that.
That's another, 5 books?
Yeah, we don't kind of learn about that until we meet Jason. So yeah, that's about 6 books. That's about 5-6 books from now.
I was gonna say, Jason is also a Grace child, isn't he?
Yes, he's Thalia's little brother.
Okay.
It's complicated.
Little brother with an asterisk.
Sounds like Greek mythology in a nutshell.
Families are messy. Immortal families are internally messy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I only ever read the first 5 books of this universe, so...
You should go read Heroes. It got weird.
But shit, yeah.
Cliffhanger, hanging from a cliff, and that's why he's called Cliffhanger.
We'll pick it up in winter. We're gonna go to a school dance.
I raise you. I was on the mark of Athena cliffhanger.
I can't wait to know what that means.
Yep. Next time on, we're going to go to a school dance, and Thalia's going to complain that the DJ didn't play any Green Day music.
Correct. Jasmine, let's put it this way. The acknowledgements for the following book opened with, to the readers, sorry about that cliffhanger. JK, no, I'm not.
You little shit, Rick.
Rick is a delightful human being, quite frankly. I feel like Rick is what would happen if Percy just became a middle-aged man, quite frankly. Yeah. He's got such a similar attitude.
I mean, he did originally write this series to give representation to his neurodivergent kids, so...
Yeah.
There you have it.
He thinks that might be a little bit generational.
I will say, the neurodivergent rep of the book moment is the moment where Annabeth tries to spell shit and gets frustrated because she can't. That's so cute. I love that so much.
Oh my god, we didn't even talk about, like, the trauma Annabeth has around
Cyclops trauma!
Yeah, since we're talking about Thalia!
Yeah, why is she so on edge about Tyson for a while, and yet doesn't seem to have an explanation as to why she seems to have some sort of anti-Cyclops bigotry?
So, Cyclops in the book, and I think also in actual mythology, but I don't remember, mimic voices that they've heard. And in an instance, while Thalia, Grover, Luke, and Annabeth were making their way to camp, they got sidetracked in Brooklyn, which, how did you get sidetracked in Brooklyn? You're not even supposed to be allowed in Brooklyn. Rant has been redacted to save space because that's a retcon. Anyway, they got twisted up in a Cyclops den because Cyclops basically, pick blocks in New York City to cohabitate and try to eat children about. It had itself mimicking Thalia's voice and mimicking Luke's voice and mimicking Grover's voice, depending on who it was trying to capture. And Annabeth kind of blames herself for getting into this loophole because she was one of the first people captured, but also, reminder, she was 7.
And then it used her dad's voice. And it said all the things she wanted to hear from her dad.
And she thinks it must have picked it out of her brain. So horribly traumatizing for a fucking 7-year-old.
Yeah. Not a good reason for racism, but I get it.
Just because bigotry has a tragic backstory doesn't mean it's justified.
I give her credit that the book seems to acknowledge this because she works through it and recognizes, it was not right for me to put all of that on Tyson.
Damn right.
But also, outside of Tyson, like, the Cyclops didn't try to eat her.
That is where we start bumping into, like, the issue of fantastical racism and ascribing this kind of, like, morality to monsters and stuff.
And yet, I still end up holding Luke like a plushie. He's an asshole, but he's my asshole.
I understand.
There's so much about Luke where, like, you know, when you have that bigger evil in the background, like you do with Kronos and everything, where it's just like...
Luke is just the guy you can punch in the face.
Yeah, like, obviously Luke is in the wrong for a lot of things, but also there's a bit of, like, he's not necessarily in his right mind, because Kronos is Kronos.
He's not wrong, he's just an asshole.
He's arguably in the wrong the way Killmonger from Black Panther is. He, in fact, has a completely understandable reason for thinking the way that he does. The problem is not his philosophy, the problem is his methods and his conclusion.
Man, we're referencing Marvel a lot in this episode.
But we can get into that more with show stuff in... Jazz, how many episodes?
Yep, in 2 episodes, because obviously... Up next is the movie, and I'm probably gonna get eaten alive by the book fandom.
I'm out.
I hate the movie. Final thoughts. Riptide still fucks as a weapon. I love Riptide.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Still fucks as a weapon, still not a clicky pen.
Still not a clicky pen.
Also, just, like, combining Riptide as a pen with the fact that he now has a watch shield, like, just phenomenal, like, way of hiding these very necessary things with modern objects. Fantastic world building. Like, these books do have just phenomenal world building, and I love them.
Like, it is my kind of whimsical, the world building in this book. Also, saying Riptide's Greek name Anaklusmos is for some reason so satisfying to say. Rolls off the tongue so nicely.
I think the funny thing is that, you know how people give shit about the Riptide is not a clicky pen because, you know, ADHD, we will click shit until the cows come home?
You take the pen out of the cap because you take a sword out of the sheath!
The one thing I worry about with the watch is that it's mentioned you hit the stopwatch button. I'm like, okay, but you've got a button that we can push.
Yeah.
I am wearing a fidget ring right now. Do you know how much I have spun it throughout this fucking episode?
I spun it so much I have to take it off for recordings because you can hear it.
One of the first complete sentences I ever learned as a toddler was push the button.
Yeah, no, the ADHD is strong. I have minimal jewelry nowadays, but because of chronic issues. But I used to wear like a minimum of 7 necklaces. And I still grab at my chest, even though it's been about 1.5 years since I stopped wearing them on a regular basis. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And then I realized that I used to fidget with my pendants at all times, and I just didn't realize it.
Yeah, I hold this whole cast like plushies.
These are my emotional support disasters, Your Honor.
Never speak to me or my Greek mythology aligned children again.
Valia Grace is my daughter, and I love her so much.
And with that all in mind, why does the Odyssey endure?
What I think about why the Odyssey endures, aside from it being one of the longest retold works, just like in terms of how long we have been retelling it, is I think that there is something incredibly compelling and relatable of just wanting to get home to your loved ones. And especially I think that the dynamic of Odysseus and Penelope being these incredibly intelligent and resourceful characters, the two of them working in tandem, not knowing that each of them is working towards the same goal, like, that's some fucking romantic shit. Yes, Odysseus does fuck other women in the mythology, and yet there is a reason he now endures as wife guy.
Oh, it's beautiful. He's about as close to a wife guy as you'll get.
He seems to be the only one that actually likes his wife. I think that's, like, the real thing that sells it, is that of the men and wives of Greek mythology, at least he seems to like his wife.
The bar is in hell, ancient Greece. The bar is in hell.
Like, even the ones where you could argue, they still end up fridging them eventually, even if it's by a godly curse. Looking at you, Heracles.
Okay, actually, you know what? I'll shout out Admetus and Alcestis. That was a nice one. But anyway, that's my take on why the Odyssey endures.
Odyssey. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go on an absolutely wacky adventure where everything seems to be stopping you from getting home to where you want to be. And also, when is someone gonna pay me to write an adaptation that's set during the New York Thanksgiving Day Parade? where you accidentally made the mistake of venturing out for something and now you have to get home through parade traffic.
Oh, that's so funny. Santa has to be important in getting you home somehow, of course.
Which I guess also makes it a Christmas movie.
If Die Hard counts, then yes.
You'd need to enter discussions with Dropout.tv and whether or not this intersects with the Unsleeping City canon.
Sure. It'll go on the shelf with Midsummer and an IKEA.
I think also, like, it is the blueprint for a lot of hero's journey stories. And so having a hero's journey with such noble, like, intentions and goals, like you said, getting home to your loved ones, and also, like, the fact that they're both working towards, like, the same goals and everything. I think that it's just one of those stories that the themes are always going to be there no matter what. So you can make a hero's journey through that theme and through that lens, and you can change the steps, you can change the backdrop, but having that heart keeps it going and just resonates forever, and it doesn't matter what else is going on. And I think especially in the times that we are living in right now, that is something very important to a lot of us.
Now who's prepared for Nolan to fuck it up? Anyway.
Oof.
I am being so good!
I am cautiously optimistic about it at least being a very well-made film, if perhaps not a good adaptation. I mean, Troy is not a good adaptation of the Iliad, but I still enjoy it.
We'll unpack that eventually.
But why the Odyssey endures, well, I think it really just does tap into that whole thing about how sometimes a journey will just throw you so many curveballs and detours when you feel like you've got a straightforward path ahead of you. You're so confident that you've got a goal to reach, you know how to get there, and then life just keeps randomly throwing obstacles in your way, and you're not entirely sure how to deal with them, but you eventually figure it out and hope against hope that you'll still make it where you want to make.
And sometimes life's obstacles are indeed pretty girls.
Yeah.
And sometimes life's obstacles happen because you couldn't fucking keep your mouth shut.
That too.
Well, yeah, that Clarice obstacle to that a couple times.
And sometimes life's obstacles are your own brain, and you're a thesis student.
Oh boy. Boy, there are so many people in my friend group relating to that sentiment right now, I think.
All right, who's got stuff to plug?
I am the host of 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. You can check out my backlog, and we have some really great episodes coming out soon. I'm very excited for you to listen to them. I don't want to spoil what they are, but you can also check me out on social media at Demisem. Most of what I post there is me reblogging lists of resources for mutual aid and shit like that. Shout out to the people of Minneapolis, fuck ICE, and y'all are inspiring, and I wish you didn't have to be.
I'm River. You can find me on Blue Sky at Dreams Rebel. I am the host of The Straights Aren't All Right, a podcast where I gather a bunch of queers together, make them watch straight rom-coms, and try to answer the question, are the straights like okay? For those keeping score. You can't tell me that Percy isn't bi. Next question. You can find that wherever pods are cast and on Blue Sky at aren'tallrightpodcom. You can also find me on my own website, blog.filmlion.online. And you can find me on Letterboxd at punk_.
I am also a podcast host every now and again, relatively fledgling compared to the rest of y'all. However, if you look wherever podcasts are found, you may find a podcast called The Disney Outlands, where I take you on a journey through the lost and forgotten, the unloved and appreciated, the feature films, short films, specials, and episodes that the Disney company has produced, but are not found on their major streaming services. On top of that, if you like comic dubs, I'm currently in a comic dub of the graphic novel series Bone by Jeff Smith, where I am practicing being a voice actor. And if you would like to try me out for other voice acting gigs, find me on Casting Call Club. Also, I sing professionally, which you might probably know if you've been a frequent enough guest here on In Each Retelling, having performed the In Each Retelling in Space theme song, for example, amongst other things.
I have no specific pluggables. I am first and foremost a grad student right now, so wish me luck as I dive into the world of fairies and talk about, in particular, how Tolkien has changed the landscape of fairy novels, and I am using adaptation theory to apply to my novels as well.
Good luck. Don't step in the fairy circles.
No, at this point, step in them. Step in them. Anything could be better than this bullshit. Fake it, David Bowie, please!
It's too late. All of us as kids were asked, hey, can I have your attention? We went, yeah, sure, what's up? And the Fae were like, you fools!
This is true. Jazz, thank you for having me on. This has been a great time, and
You're always welcome
to be on again, which you guys will hear from me again for season 2 of Sea of Monsters. So
hopefully the same will be true for me. We'll see.
And jumping off Sam's point, in the show notes for your hero's call to action will be a Vox article that gives you some ideas of how to further support Minneapolis as ICE is terrorizing them. And as always, you can find me at Faye Riviera on all the socials. And please consider checking out this podcast's Tumblr page, anitretellingpodcast.tumblr.com. Technically, we still have Twitter and Blue Sky, but we really have not used it recently. Maybe we'll get back to that this year. Maybe I will make that a resolution. We'll see. Either way, please consider using the podcatcher of your choice to rate and review us, and spread the word about us where you can. Maybe you have friends who will like our Muppet episodes, or maybe you'll have friends who will like it when we talk more about Jane Austen. One of my goals within Retelling is that there is truly, almost certainly, an episode for everyone. And if you have room in your wallets, please consider donating to our Patreon. Our various tiers give you access to episodes a little bit early. It gives you access to our IER book club that I started during the hiatus. And it gets you a direct thank you in the credits, such as for Kyle Calgren, Connor Duffy, and Juan Garcia. Thanks so much for your contributions. This is making it all the more likely that this podcast keeps going. You can also support us through our Ko-Fi or the support the show link below. However you choose to support us, however, just the fact that you are listening to us means the world to us and helps us reach the next chapter of our story. And speaking of the next chapter of our story, next up is our discussion of the film adaptation of this very book. And I'm warning you now, our trek across the Sea of Monsters includes me having some hot takes. Hopefully the book fanbase does not eat me. We hope you will join us, and remember, stories gain power in each retelling. Meantime, Odysseus and his son fell upon the front line of the foe and smote them with their swords and spears. Indeed, they would have killed every one of them and prevented them from ever getting home again. Only Athena raised her voice aloud and made everyone pause. "Men of Ithaca," she cried, "cease this dreadful war and settle the matter at once without further bloodshed." On this pale fear seized everyone. They were so frightened that their arms dropped from their hands and fell upon the ground at the sound of the goddess's voice, and they fled back to the city for their lives. But Odysseus gave a great cry, and gathering himself together swooped down like a soaring eagle. Then the son of Saturn sent a thunderbolt of fire that fell just in front of Athena. So she said to Odysseus, "Odysseus, noble son of Laertes, stop this warful strife, or Zeus will be angry with you." Thus spoke Athena, and Odysseus obeyed her gladly. Then Athena assumed the form and voice of Mentor, and presently made a covenant of peace between the two contending parties.
She wasn't a camper. I didn't recognize her from any of the cabins, and yet I had the strangest feeling I'd seen her before. "It's true," Grover said, panting from his run up the hill. "I can't believe." No one else came close to the girl. I put my hand on her forehead. Her skin was cold, but my fingertips tingled as if they were burning. "She needs nectar and ambrosia," I said. She was clearly a half-blood, whether she was a camper or not. I could sense that just from one touch. I didn't understand why everyone was acting so scared. I took her by the shoulder and lifted her into the sitting position, resting her head on my shoulder. "Come on," I yelled to the others. "What's wrong with you people? Let's get her to the big house." No one moved, not even Chiron. They were all too stunned. Then the girl took a shaky breath. She coughed and opened her eyes. Her irises were startlingly blue, electric blue. The girl stared at me in bewilderment, shivering and wild-eyed. "Who?" "I'm Percy," I said. "You're safe now." "Strangest dream." "It's okay. Dying..." "No," I assured her. "You're okay. What's your name?" That's when I knew, even before she'd said it. girl's blue eyes stared into mine, and I understood what the Golden Fleece quest had been about. The poisoning of the tree. Everything. Kronos had done it to bring another chess piece into play, another chance to control the prophecy. Even Chiron, Annabeth, and Grover, who should have been celebrating this moment, were too shocked, thinking about what it might mean for the future. And I was holding someone who was destined to be my best friend, or possibly my worst enemy. I am Thalia, the girl said, daughter of Zeus.